Hey everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode and all the episodes over 380. We are making our way towards that magic 400 episode total number by the end of calendar year 2025. Over 100 countries and provinces, territories, and 1,000 cities across the world. It's because of you that we have a show, that we have an audience, and it's because of you we are here, especially for this show. This is a very time-sensitive story episode that we are doing. And so we have well, don't need to know all the background about it. So let me just hop in. So we have our guest with us, David Solomon. I'm going to do a lead in from why this episode is so important for us at this moment in time. And David is going to add a lot more to that or to this story. So last week, not only was it my 44th birthday, December 11th, on December 10th of 2025, there was a story that dropped in overseas in Europe, and I'm just going to read the title verbatim. Dracula Land, new 1 billion euro theme park destination planned for Romania. And as a, as I was, when I was younger, I appreciated theme parks a lot more. I get, I don't, I don't want to say it, maybe I get a little sick riding rides now, but nonetheless, having family, that's sometimes where we end up on vacation, and so this definitely caught the interest of us as an organization, and just me as a person, David as a person, as a father, husband, uh, all all the things. And on the outside, I got this big grand entrance with this title. Like, oh wow, like Dracula Land, Land for Romania, Transylvania, and then you go through and you read a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you get to like these different these different lands that that the individuals with the vision are calling them, and we get to number two, and it's called Family Kingdom, but it's followed by mythical creatures around the world, and so that's where we have little bit of an issue. Number one, David Solomon, who's on our show as the subject matter expert in this area. He is and has been the wholly 100% owner, operator of mythical creatures around the world. And what David does, as any business owner does, is he saw that and was like, wait, all right, I wasn't consulted, we weren't consulted, and this is a thing where people somewhere, some organization somewhere, something fell through the cracks, whether intentionally or unintentionally, thinking that number one, mythical creatures around the world is open source information, open source data, meaning that anybody can go to that mythical creatures around the world Facebook page and then just lift up verbatim and plagiarize into books, into lots of things. And in this case, into a theme park. And so David did his due diligence. He called up the architecture firm. He talked to the actual individual who was responsible for this and had a deeper conversation. But before I hand over to David, what I want to do is I want to just cover things from a legal standpoint because there's questions that have arisen, and I'm sure there'll be more questions that may arise. And so that's why we are doing this episode. And you're going to see a simultaneous drop of a 10-minute video where I detail a lot of what I'm going to be sharing here. So I'm not going to read the entire agreement, but all you need to know is voices for voices. Actually, all you need to know, here we go, is mythical creatures around the world is now wholly owned by Voices for Voices. And so, there's a whole lot of, legal jargon that kind of goes into that. And so that's where we have a little bit of an issue. It's not a little issue, it's a big issue. Uh, and so I wasn't consulted, but David wasn't consulted either. Nobody on our teams were consulted. And that's very problematic when we're in the business world where everybody's out to make a buck, everybody's out to sometimes impersonate their competition and think that nobody's going to find out. Uh, there's been conjecture where uh, I was going to be contacted and travel and meet individuals in different areas of the world because of this, thinking that David and I don't collaborate and work together like on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to end this part of uh, my part of this segment by saying that whoever thought that was 1,000% wrong, that we collaborate. And and I just want to reiterate that whether whether or not there is a C for copyright, a TM for trademark, or an R for registration under the United States and Patent and Trade Office, which for Voices is covered under, mythical creatures around the world, whether any of those designations are either before mythical or at the end of world. Uh, so whether implied or stated, mythical creatures around the world is owned by Voices for Voices, and we did not approve this rendering of Dracula Land of the mythical creatures around the world, the family land too. And I just wanted to end my part by saying that. And what comes with that is potential legal proceedings for anyone that knowingly or unknowingly um, made these decisions. Because when you make a decision, you're talking about €1 billion, $1 billion US, $1 billion anything. A lot of planning goes into it. So you would think that there would have been some contact made, and there wasn't. And so that's why we're here today. We're here to clear the air. And I want to now pass the microphone over to David.
So I was just talking to the architect just now as we were making that video. Um, Hi, everyone. I'm David Solomon, CEO of Mythical Creatures Around the World. And I'm going to make this real quick. It has come to my attention that someone has been impersonating mythical creatures around the world. And I just wanted to come on here and basically say Voices for Voices owns Mythical. And I own it. I am the sole owner, but Voices for Voices is the co-owner, and it, trademarked under Voices for Voices, Mythical Creatures Around the World. So those of you who want to plagiarize and go against Mythical, you might want to think again. I want to bring to the attention the following. 2 days ago, an article came out by Mark Wade, Action Comics 1093, which rewrites Clark Kent's early history, placing him under the command of the U.S. Army. The story returns to Clark Kent's teenage years in Smallville as he operates under Superboy, but then is made to be recruited by General Sam Lane to be called Project Super Soldier, and even went on to design his own uniform as a hybrid super soldier, changing the origin forever of Superman. This was 2 days ago. This arc is very controversial, changing the original ideas and idealism of Superman to a more controversial military version as a teenager, making him almost a James Bond. The reason that's important, well, I'm glad you asked. So, in 2013, when I started Mythical, I created a pilot for the CW that was going to be a spinoff of Arrow. And it was Clark Kent, 17 years old, with this exact costume. And he was recruited by General Sam Lane to be a military spy at the age of 17, codenamed Super Soldier. The series was outlined for about 5 seasons. Boy, boy. Okay, so Mythical Creatures is the one that owns that script and those concepts. Now, I spoke to a copyright attorney, and I want to play it nice for Mark Waid at DC Comics. I don't know him, but he does know my mentor, and so I'm gonna play it real nice. Give me credit for what I'm due, and I won't get ugly. Okay? Those are my concepts. That's my art you're using for design art. So word per word, verbatim, story to story is mine. If you're going to use my story, give me credit. Mythical Creatures Around the World was impersonated by Stephen Reimers, Christy Keys. Let's see here. Nicole Reimers. Brian Davis. A whole bunch of people saying they're mythical creatures around the world. And I'm not here to be rude or anything. I just want it to stop. I worked my butt off every day to get projects in. I'm always on the phone. I'm always doing things. Justin's seen it firsthand. I'm always negotiating deals and getting things going. My wife is busy being editor and mother and tending to the household in ways I can't. And with being a newborn father, also I have that to juggle. I don't need to wake up to Superman on my screen of plagiarizing. And then I woke up that same day to mythical creatures in Dracula Land, a theme park. So this is a video to show that mythical creatures around the world is in ownership of Voices for Voices. Therefore, the other person I would like to bring forward is Mindy Joy Davis of of Illinois. I believe she's near Springfield. I'll have to pull that up. But she has also impersonated mythical creatures around the world for the last time. And in saying that, she is friends with Mythical and, wants the best for Mythical, these people that want to be a part of Mythical and have nothing to do with it. Now, it's come to my attention that someone impersonated Mythical for money. And that's not okay either. And so they're trying to get money out of it. That it doesn't work that way. So yeah, I'm kind of ticked. I'm kind of ticked. Um, we got to come to a better understanding here of what we're doing with Mythical. Like there's a circle of people that run Mythical. And by understanding, I mean understanding that we are that circle and we know what we're doing. And you guys, and when I say you, not the listeners, but people saying they are us, yeah, we got to come to an understanding that those who say they're mythical and don't run Mythical need to get out of the way of Mythical because you impersonated Mythical, including Mindy Joy Davis. Summer Shore, rather. Man, I put a lot of hard work into Mythical for over almost 12 years now, 13. So, you know, if someone tries to impersonate Mythical, furthermore, Mythical Creatures is also a ministry. Someone said we were secular. We're a ministry like Charlie Kirk. That doesn't mean we're copying Charlie Kirk. That means we're carrying on that legacy. Let me explain. So, I was anointed at the age of 6 to bring people to God and unite, as God said to mom, culture. And that is what Mythical is. It is being that uniter and not that divider. And in the words of a friend that I wrote his speech, meeting that moment of the divide that we have as a country, as a nation, or as a state, or as a city, or as the world. And creating stories that talk to countries that hate God and uniting those forefronts together and becoming allies instead of enemies and turning enemies into allies. Being the change for this world and not being the darkness that is clouding this world, but being the light that shines through. Mythical Creatures Around the World does have a theme park that it's making. This will be a part of it, but we will have credit now and we will have say in this part going forward. This was a huge mistake by someone impersonating. But thank you for letting me know. Kudos to the architect team in Transylvania and Ukraine. I would have never knew. It's so sad that we have to come to this moment to do this. It's just sad. It saddens me, truly does. So I am grateful for everybody who follows Mythical. I am grateful for people who are loyal. I will be writing stories for generations. And my son now is going to follow my wife, others. It's a family ministry and a family business, and that is what it's going to be. I am going to say that I am going to go after Mark Wade in the Superman clause because even though Superman is not part of Mythical per se, that storyline is, and I am going to use it. Now, if this continues and I can't get anywhere with DC, I am going to leak the original drawings and script of the comic that just dropped. And they are copyrighted and registered by me and my mom in 2013, August the 12th. So shout out, hashtag DC Comics, talk to me. Maybe we can make a deal. I just want credit. I also know this person is notorious for not giving people credit for their creations. So there's that. Um, but that is what we woke up to.
Yeah.
Um, Justin, anything to add? Did I cover it?
Yeah, you covered it really well, and I just want to just add to it in that you and your mom did those originals, and so basically it's like doubly copyrighted and trademarked because you trademarked it and copyrighted it at that time, and then it's now grandfathered into Voices for Voices. So there's two times the um I guess copyright infringement would be probably the words I would use for
Yeah.
that. So that's all. This is a big deal. I know it might not seem like it to some of our viewers and listeners, but when you get into the world of developing and creating, and as David mentioned, putting every ounce of his being and his mom's being and his family's being, and now ours, that it's like a slap in the face when somebody kind of goes behind our back and does something like this. And some people say, well, how are we to know? Uh, you say that whether knowingly or unknowingly. Well, if you know the mythical creatures around the world exist, or you know that this particular Superman script exists, and you still go ahead and do that thing that you're doing, shame on you, you know, once. But when you go and do it unknowingly, okay, this is the whole point of trademarking is so you can have a legal representative, a real legal representative, do the due diligence. And this is something that I didn't appreciate until probably right now when through all the legal ease from Voices for Voices and Mythical and Voice for Voices publishing and production and all the others, the House of You, I didn't really appreciate when I would get these charges from my attorneys about these searches, and I'm like, why am I paying X amount for these searches? And now it makes complete sense because they wanted to make sure that first off, they didn't want to sign off on something and have their names behind it if it was already out there. And number two, they were covering their client, which is me and David and Amanda and Ryan and Blake and Leanna and in our the circle and the so shame on everybody involved that let this get to this point. From the Superman aspect with DC, you have the money, you have the resources in place, so you can't say, "Oh, well, we just forgot, we didn't think about it," and "Oh, I don't know how these just, they look very similar, like 99.9%." Um, that doesn't fly. Same thing when you put a theme park vision out. It's meant to, kind of shock the world in the sense of like, whoa, this is a big deal. And so throughout all that planning, all those meetings, all those travel plans and Zoom meetings or Teams meetings or whatever, shame on you for not doing your due diligence and looking up about mythical creatures because we know you did because in Family Land number two, especially, the words and the terms that are used, you can find them all over mythical creatures around the world. So you can't lie yourself out of that either. And we're going to have conversations and we're going to do the best for our organizations. And that's how we're going to handle this. Because when somebody, again, nobody has reached out to us and said, "Hey, I'm sorry. Sorry we did this." No, none of it. We have to go this route, which is our strategy is we're fighting fire with fire. It's like, okay, you're gonna pull this. Well, we're gonna put some heavy content out, and there's gonna be people all across the world that are gonna know all about this. So not only is this show going out all over the world, there is a 10-minute video explaining the how we brought how we brought mythical creatures around the world into the Voices for Voices umbrella, still to be operated on the day to day by David and his family and his wishes. But from that copyright perspective, we knew something like this would happen. And this is exactly why we did it, because it's when you least expect it. They call it like the quiet before the storm, where kind of there's radio silence for a period of time, and then bam, all of a sudden something like this hits, and then something like the Superman hits, and it's number one, it's inappropriate. So shame on DC Comics, no matter how this shakes out. Shame on you. Shame on every individual that had even a little ounce from the interns all the way up to the senior executives to the people that are funding uh, this Dracula Land. Every single one of you are complicit. It's the implied complicit of being part of something that you did not do your due diligence. You just blindly put money towards, and you said, "Oh, wow, this sounds great." Oh yeah, there's this there's this Facebook group with almost 100,000 followers. So yeah, it looks like it's an open source type of deal. So we're just going to take from what they have, and uh, we know that that's not the way we do things. As David mentioned, his whole life has been about unity, bringing people together, not dividing people, culture, not politics. And we're infusing that with Voices for Voices in that same manner of we want to spend the time on earth helping people. We don't want to hurt people. And guess what? If you break the law, we can still love you as individuals, but you still have to pay for what you did or what you didn't do. It doesn't let you off the hook, like, oh, well, we forgive you and we're just going to, no, we're not. We're not letting you off the hook. So let this be an example. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of examples the last few months. Uh, but let this be another example to anyone out there watching, listening, who this is shared with, screenshotted, uh, whether the 10-minute public relations announcement that I get, these are gonna be dropping very close in time. And let this be an example that you can't do these things, whether how big you are or how powerful you are, you think you are. We were told over and over again when Donald J. Trump was running for office, nobody is above the law. Okay. Well, same applies here. Nobody is above the law here. So we're not going to be, oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean to do. No, no, no. It doesn't work like that. So we're just coming out, we're clearing the air, we're letting our followers, our supporters, whether you're just watching and listening, or whether you're a donor, or whether you are a sponsor. We're just clearing the air, making sure everybody's aware of what's going on and that we were not born yesterday. We are not stupid. We are not dumb. We are not whatever the words that others want to use. We want to bring people together. We want to unite people, which is what we're doing. And that's probably the problem that may be arising here is well they're helping people and well we're just going to do these big massive things and yeah they're not going to be able to do anything. Well, nobody's above the law, and as I mentioned, I'm just going to share this one last time here before we close out the episode. You can see it here. This is at the background. Mythical Creatures Around the World is a subsidiary of Voices for Voices. And so let that just sink in. That's just the way it is. It may upset you, may make you mad, uh, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of things that make me mad, make me upset, make me, I don't know, just go, oh man, I wish things would be a little bit different here. But I can't change everything. I'm not God. There was one God, and Jesus Christ was the perfect one. Nobody else is perfect, and we know we're not perfect. But what we can do as individuals, we can, no matter how small we are, that we are mighty and we are united and we will help those 3 billion plus people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. You can rest assured of that. That is happening. We are going to reach episode number 400 by the end of calendar year 2025. That's a 100 episode increase of our original goal. So right when you underestimate us is probably not the best time. Uh, and I know I went a little bit on the soapbox here, but both David and I and others associated with Voices for Voices and Mythical, and we're very passionate with what we do because there's so much need in the world for people needing a shoulder to rest their head on, a bed to rest their head on, a warming center when the temperatures are like they are in the negative degrees. And those things can only happen when we're helping people, not when we're shunning people, we're turning people away, we're taking what we think's ours, and uh, that just isn't going to fly. And unfortunately, this is just going to have to be another example. And Brian and Mindy and Steven, among others, seems like the same individuals tend to keep popping up for each infraction, we'll call it. And again, either you're on the side of trying to do the good and the right thing, or you're not. There's like David said many times before, he sees the world very black and white. You're either for good or you're against good. And so that's kind of how it goes. So if you're for mythical creatures around the world, you're going to do your darndest to remedy the situation. Okay. If you're not for good, you're not. You're just gonna, you know, pretend like nobody, like la 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 la, nobody's talking. I'm not hearing anybody. Uh, and so then, then decisions have to be made, and uh, it's it's very unfortunate. Uh, but we have taken the right precautions as an organization and organizations that I know that God put that in both David's heart and Amanda's and Ryan's and mine, that we were able to make this happen, because if not, there could be uh, other consequences. But because we foresaw what was happening and what could potentially happen, and we can't read crystal balls, but we were darn sure, or darn sure, not darn sure, but darn close of reading this one pretty well. That there was probably going to be somebody or someone's at some point that we're going to try to lift up mythical creatures around the world content verbatim, which means it's plagiarized, which means it's not an original idea. And if you can't come up with original ideas, you shouldn't be writing. That's okay. There's a lot of other professions out there. But if that's your way of going about writing, you may want to look at a different profession. And that's why the great thing about David and Ryan and his wife Amanda, when they write, it's original idea. They'll bring folklores in from the local, the cities and the townships and the areas, and and it brings that flavor in. But it's not a one for one lift of exactly this and exactly that, and all 200 pages match exactly somewhere else on the web. So we're very, uh, we're we're very we're very disappointed that it has come to this and that this has happened. Uh, but we can't, what happens from here, only God knows what's going to happen. And so that's why we put this episode together. We feel like we always do, that our fans, our followers, our supporters, people watching from near, people watching from far, that they see an organization and organizations that uh, are being transparent and upfront, and that's all anybody can hope from an organization is, wow, I heard about this and it took 6 months to hear something, versus I heard about this and 2 or 3 days go by, and now we're hearing action and concrete action, not just, oh, this isn't a good thing to do. So rest assured, there will be action taken. That action will be taken on our terms, not yours. And David, thank you so much for uh, being on this episode, and
Of course.
going into depth, because it's very important because you hold a lot of that additional knowledge about Superman and how those connections with DC are.
Of course.
And we want to thank you, our viewers, our listeners, always joining us, whether this is your first episode or if you've been with us from the beginning. We can't thank you enough for being with us. It can hit that subscribe button, take us everywhere you go on your favorite streaming platform, favorite podcasting app. We are everywhere. That is the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Episode 316 is with Senator Ted Cruz. He is our 2025 Voice of the Year award recipient. And so you can see that interview on episode 316. And you can see episode number 208, where David details the horrible abuses that he endured in 2012, and it's people like David that are stepping out from under the darkness into the light, who is truly helping people at least feel like, okay, maybe I can't share on the show my experience, but maybe you have a few more hours doing what you want to do. I don't know, maybe you want to read a story, maybe you want to do some art or write a song, and all those things we look at as healing and things that are helpful. And uh, without people like David and other survivors, we couldn't do what we're doing without him. And for mythical creatures around the world, David draws his own art. He puts the folklore and myths together. All around, he writes songs, he writes screenplays, he writes TV shows, as he was mentioned, how many seasons he had outlined, and the treatments. It's just incredible. He acts out every single act, every single character in each story, which is just incredible. And why don't we end this on a high note, David? Can you just talk a little bit about that? How what got you started acting out the characters throughout the book and how that's helped your creative process?
Hmm. I've done that since 6 years old. Um, Before I write anything, I have to act it out. All the characters, I have to know what they wear, what they sound like, what they look like, what does the atmosphere look like. Um, that's just how I work. That's how I do it. I have to act out every little thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's how David he that's his process. Doesn't mean it has to be your process. It, like you said, he's been doing this from a very young age, and that was how things got started. That's just incredible. And why don't we end on another positive thing? How does it feel to have a son as a published author?
Yeah, that's just amazing. Like, I write stories, but the way that he did it, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. I'm very proud. Amanda's very proud. Ryan's just on top of the world signing copies today. Uh, he's very proud.
That's
I'm
awesome.
humbled.
Absolutely. And it's because of you and Amanda giving Ryan kind of that autonomy. And so it was, his idea kind of from day one. I think there's a lot of a lot of people, a lot of parents, a lot of guardians that, yeah, we all have different ways how we parent, and that's very important that Ryan felt that he could do that, even being in a family that is writes and creates at such a high level, not
Yeah,
thinking, oh, am I going to be good enough?
I agree.
Right. Well, thank you, our viewers, our listeners, for the 12th time. We just wanted to get some of those high points, those nuggets. It's just incredible. The Search for Drake Colton is Ryan Solomon's book. You can buy that anywhere. You can buy the electronic and the paperback on Amazon. It will be in bookstores very, 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 very soon. And we are just grateful to play a small role in that. It's just truly been a blessing to be part of that process, and to, sometimes the people that need help at a certain time are ourselves, and other times it's others. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on another episode, another TikTok live, another PR announcement. And until then, this is Justin Alnaze and David Solomon, Voices for Voices, Voices for Voices, mythical creatures around the world. And until next time, please be a voice for you or somebody in need. Take care.
Thank you. God bless, guys.